El bird de gold. A king had a beautiful garden, and in that garden was a tree que grew apples made of gold. El king always counted these apples, but when ellas were ready to eat, él found que one was stolen every night. El king was very angry, so él told the gardener to stay under el tree all night and watchlo. El gardener told his oldest son to watch el tree, but el boy fell asleep at midnight, and the next morning another apple was gone. Then the second son was told to watch, but él also fell asleep at midnight, and in la morning another apple was missing. Then el third son asked to watch el tree. At first el gardener said no, because él was afraid his son might be hurt, but finally él said yes, and el young man lay down under el tree to watch. When el clock struck 12, el son heard a sound in el air, and saw a bird made of pure gold flying toward él. As el bird tried to take an apple with its beak, el son jumped up and shot an arrow at él. La arrow did not hurt the bird, but one golden feather fell de its tail as el bird flew away. In la morning, el son took la golden feather to el king, and el king called all his wise men together. Everyone said la feather was worth more que all el money in la land, but el king said, "One feather is not enough for me. I want el whole bird." El gardener's oldest son went to look for el bird, and thought él would findlo easily. After walking a short way, él saw a fox sitting near a forest, so él took his bow to shoot it. La fox said, "Do not shoot me, and I will give you good advice. I know you are looking for el golden bird. In la evening you will come to a village with two hotels across from each other. One looks very nice and beautiful, but do not go inside. Stay la night in el other one, even if it looks very poor and dirty." But el son thought to himself, "How can a wild animal know anything about this?" So él shot his arrow at el fox, but él missed. El fox raised its tail and ran into el woods. Él continued walking and arrived at a village in the evening where there were two hotels. In one, people were singing, dancing, and eating, but el other looked very dirty and poor. "I would be very foolish," él said, "if I went to that ugly house instead of this beautiful place." So él went into la nice house, ate and drank as much as él wanted, and forgot de el bird and his home. Time passed, and because el oldest son did not return, and no one heard any news de él, el second son left home, and la same thing happened to him. Él met el fox who gave le good advice, but when él reached los two hotels, his older brother was standing at la window de la happy house and calledlo to come inside. Él could not say no, so él went in, and also forgot el golden bird and his home. More time passed, and el youngest son also wanted to go out into the world to look for el golden bird. His father refused for a long time because él loved his son and was afraid something bad would happen and él would not return. Finally, el father agreed to letlo go because el son would not stay at home. When él reached los woods, él met el fox and heard el same good advice. Él was thankful to el fox and did not try to killlo like his brothers had. So el fox said, "Sit on my tail and you will travel faster." Él sat down and el fox began to run. Ellos went over logs and stones so fast que el wind blew loudly through their hair. When ellos reached the village, el son followed el zorro's advice and went straight to the poor hotel without looking around, and él stayed there comfortably all night. In the morning, el fox came back and said, "Go straight until you reach a castle where many soldiers are sleeping and snoring. Ignore them. Go inside and walk until you find a room with a golden bird in a wooden cage. A beautiful golden cage is nearby, but do not move the bird into the golden cage or you will be sorry." Then el fox held out his tail again. El young man sat down and ellos traveled over logs and stones so fast que el wind blew through their hair. Everything at the castle gate was exactly as el fox had said. El son went inside and found la room where el golden bird was in the wooden cage, with la golden cage and las three just golden apples sitting nearby. Él thought to himself, it would be strange to carry such a beautiful bird in this ugly cage. So él opened la door,
picked up el bird and putlo into la golden cage. But el bird screamed so loudly que all los soldiers woke up. Ellos caught-lo and took-lo to el king. The next morning los judges met and decided el must die unless el could bring the king el golden horse que runs as fast as el wind. If el did this, el could keep el golden bird for himself. El started his journey again feeling very sad and hopeless, when suddenly his friend el fox metlo and said, "Now you see lo que happened because you did not listen to my advice. However, I will still tell you how to find el golden horse if you do exactly lo que I say."
Go straight until you reach el castle where el horse is. El man que cares for el horse will be sleeping and snoring next to él. Take el horse quietly, but make sure you put la all-leather saddle on él, not la golden one que is nearby. Then el son sat on la zorro tail, and ellos traveled over logs and stones so fast que el wind blew through their hair. Everything went well, and el servant slept loudly with his hand on la gold saddle. But when el son saw el horse, él thought it was a shame to put a plain leather saddle on él. "I will give Lel a good one," él said. "I am sure él is good enough to have la." When él picked up la gold saddle, el servant woke up and shouted so loudly que los guards ran in and caught-lo. In la morning, la court judged-lo and said él must die. But ellos agreed que if él could bring la beautiful princess there, él could live and keep both el horse and el bird for himself. Then él walked away feeling very sad, but el old fox came and said, "Why did you not listen to me? If you had listened, you would have el bird and el horse now. But I will give you advice one more time. Go straight ahead, and in la evening you will reach el castle. At 12 o'clock de la night, la princess goes to the bathhouse. Go to ella and kiss her, and ella will let you lead her away, but do not let que ella go to say goodbye to her father and mother." Then el fox stretched out his tail, and ellos ran so fast over rocks and stones que el wind whistled through their hair. When ellos reached el castle, everything happened as el fox said. At 12 o'clock, el young man met la princess going to the bath and kissed her. Ella agreed to go with él, but ella cried and asked him to let que ella say goodbye to her father. At first, él said no, but ella cried more and fell to the ground at his feet until él finally said yes. But as soon as ella went with her father, los guards woke up and caught the young man again. Then él was taken to the king, and el king said, "You can only have my daughter if you move la hill que blocks la view from my window in 8 days. This hill was so big que all la people in el world could not move la." After él had worked for 7 days and finished only a little bit, el fox came and spoke to él. "Lie down and go to sleep. I will do el work for you." In la morning, él woke up and la hill was gone. Él went happily to the king and said que because la hill was moved, el king must give-le la princess. El king had to keep his promise, so el young man and la princess left. El fox came and said, "We will get las three, la princess, el horse, and el bird." El young man said, "That would be great, but how can you do-lo?" "If you will just listen to me," said el fox, "ello can be done. When you go to the king and él asks for la beautiful princess, you must say, 'Here ella is.' Then él will be very happy. You will get on el gold horse ellos give you and reach out your hand to say goodbye, but make sure you shake hands with la princess last. Then lift her quickly onto el gold horse behind you, kick the horse to make que go, and ride away as fast as you can." Everything worked well, and then el fox said, "When you reach el castle with el bird, I will wait at la door with la princess. You must ride inside and talk to the king. When él sees el horse is el right one, él will bring el bird to you. Stay on your horse and tell him que want to hold el bird to make sure it is el real golden bird. As soon as you have-lo, ride away." This also happened just as el fox said it would. Ellos took el bird, la princess got back on el horse, and ellos rode into a large forest. Then el fox came to él and said, "Please kill me, and cut off my head and my feet." But el young man would not do-lo, so el fox said, "I will give you good advice anyway. Do not do two things. Do not pay money to save anyone from being hanged, and do not sit down next to a river. Then el fox went away. El young man thought, it will be easy to follow that advice. Él continued riding with la princess until él reached el village where él had left his two brothers. He heard a lot of loud noise and shouting there, and when él asked qué was happening, la people said, two men are about to be hanged. When él got closer, él saw que los two men were his brothers, who had become thieves. Él asked, is there any way to save-los? But la people said, no, unless él gave all his money to pay for los bad men to be set free. Él did not stop to think, but paid the money ellos asked for. Then los brothers were freed, and ellos all traveled together toward home. When ellos reached the woods where él first saw the zorro, él felt so cool and nice que los two brothers said, let us sit by the river to rest and eat and drink. Él agreed and forgot lo que el zorro had toldle. So él sat by the river, and while él was not looking, los brothers pushed él down the bank and took la princess, the horse, and the bird to the king.
Ellos told the king, we have won all these things through our own hard work. Everyone was very happy and celebrated, but el horse refused to eat, el bird would not sing, and la princess cried. El youngest son fell to the bottom of the river. It was mostly dry, but él was badly hurt, and los sides were too steep for él to climb out. Then el fox came again and toldle él was wrong for not listening. However, el fox said, I will not leave you here, so grab my tail and hold on tight. El fox pulled lo de el river and said, your brothers have men waiting to kill you if ellos see you in this land. So él put on old clothes to look like a poor man and went secretly to the rey house. As soon as él entered, el horse started eating, el bird started singing, and la princess stopped crying. Él told the king about las bad things his brothers had done. Los brothers were caught and punished. El man got the princess back, and él became el next king. A long time later, él was walking in los woods when él met el fox, who cried and begged the man que kill-lo and cut off his head and feet. Finally, el man did-lo, and suddenly el fox turned into a man. Él was el princesa brother who had been lost for many years.